Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Sam Shepler on the line, and he's founder and CEO of Testimonial Hero. Sam, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Adam. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. So first off, the future of B2B customer stories. I can't take credit for this topic. Sam brought it to the table, and it's a great one. And when you hear more about what Sam is doing over at Testimonial Hero, you'll know why. He's definitely an expert in this space. And anybody out there looking to tell great stories for their customers and just in general, definitely stay tuned in for this one. So Sam, excited to get into today's topic, but before we do that, we'll start with our Mission Matters Minute. So Sam, we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's our mission here. Sam, what mission matters to you?
The mission that matters to me, Adam, is to help great companies build the trust they need to grow faster. That's, of course, what the problem that we solve at Testimonial Hero with the world's easiest way to create highest quality video testimonials. But the real question is, why? And, at the end of the day, trust needs to be there, for any transaction to happen. And when you have trust, everything goes so much faster. And conversely, if you don't have trust, nothing's going anywhere. So, in today's world, marketing content alone just isn't enough. The best companies out there are also making customer content a priority as well. So that's, the mission that matters to me. That's the mission that matters to our company, Testimonial Hero, is to help great companies build the trust they need to grow faster.
Fantastic. Love bringing mission-based entrepreneurs and executives on the line and really have them share why they do what they do. So great stuff there. So testimonials and video, two of my favorite things to talk about. But before we get into that, how did you get on this journey as an entrepreneur? Tell us a little bit more about your start.
Great question. So I think initially, I thought I would go to pursue the more narrative filmmaking route. I was in school as a film major, and actually during, maybe like later in school, I started making extra money, making like little videos for local businesses in the city that I went to school. And I just kind of did it because I knew how to make videos and I didn't really think anything of it. But that was probably halfway through college, midway toward the end of college, I had a blast doing it. I loved doing it. And I basically, by the end of school, I had turned it into a business. So I just started the business and that was basically it. And then, about 4 years later, through the course of making, hundreds and hundreds of videos of various types, I realized that my favorite type of video, my favorite category to create was, in fact, customer testimonial videos, because there's something so powerful about putting a real customer, on camera and just letting them tell, the truth about, why your product or your service, makes a difference, what problem they solve with it. What are the biggest benefits? You just can't get the same effect from like a text quote or a written case study because you can't see the person's face. And you can't kind of judge their enthusiasm, and you can't get tone through text. So I just kind of realized and like fell in love with like the power, of video testimonials. And then that's when I knew I had to actually start another company that was focused just on video testimonials. And we're only going to do video testimonials. And that is exactly how, Testimonial Hero was, created.
That's amazing. So, and I didn't know this. So you fell in love with the testimonial in that particular format, and from that, so it actually came from the creative side. It didn't necessarily come from the business-minded side. Am I right in saying that? I mean, I knew there was a market for it, obviously, because you've been doing it. You've done hundreds of videos, but the idea to really specialize and to kind of niche down on the customer testimonial, like that came from the creative side. Am I right?
I think it came from both, actually.
Oh,
So
okay.
very much in the creative side. I think it came, but it also, I mean, I for sure also
Yeah.
took a look at. I also realized that it was one of the most popular, things that we
Hmm.
did in our kind of suite of various products and services. So it was really both, and I think that is so important as an
Hmm.
entrepreneur. You have to consider, what do I, as an entrepreneur, have domain
Hmm.
expertise in, and also skills, and then also, what does the market want, right?
Hmm.
Because it's like that Venn diagram of several different factors. What does the market want? What do I like? What am I good at? And like,
Yeah.
what is relevant right now? Because timing is everything in
Hmm.
entrepreneurship, and in building a business. And very much so, I could even, I could tell, just like I was saying earlier, marketing content alone
Hmm.
is no longer enough. To really compete at the highest level, marketing leaders and companies out there
Hmm.
need to be leveraging customer stories, or else you're just not going to be able to win deals as fast. So you can really make customer stories your competitive advantage,
Mm.
because competitors can copy your product.
Yeah.
They can copy what you do in your marketing. They can copy just about anything, but they can't copy your customer stories.
Yeah. That's powerful, and I think that's a great transition in today's topic. So B2B, really the future of and telling great B2B stories. So where do we start with this one? Maybe with some of the components of what makes a good story, because I know that stories are going to change. The story, the arc, what you're trying to convey, the messages that changes. But maybe what are some of the components that make a good story?
Well, I think first you have to think about the strategy
Hmm.
and the relevance, right? So, like, if you're thinking about your, customer story program, you
Yeah.
want to think about what are the priorities in the strategic initiatives as a company.
Hmm.
And you want to align your customer stories and the stories you need with that strategy, right? So,
Yeah.
for example, if you want to move up market into
Hmm.
larger companies, do selling to larger companies, do you have the customer stories and the customer videos
Yeah.
that will support that go to market motion?
Hmm.
So it's really like, before you even think about the specifics of the story, it's overall like it's the strategy. So it's like,
Hmm.
and so you can kind of like build it out in a matrix around your buyer personas.
Yeah.
Who are the people you're selling to, and you probably have multiple different buyer personas. Then you have
Hmm.
your kind of industries, do you and your sort of firmographics, like the size of
Hmm.
those companies. And then you have the specific questions, fears, or doubts, the QFDs for those buyers in those industries. So the key with a highly effective video testimonial or any
Hmm.
customer story is making it relevant, and that means
Hmm.
making it as close and as aligned and as alike with the buyer. So that's where it starts, because there can be at least in B2B marketing, right? Like,
Yeah.
it can be a great story, but if I am the buyer and I'm nothing like the person featured in the story, and I don't have
Hmm.
any of the problems or pains or situations like them, like,
Hmm.
it doesn't matter how good the story is. I don't really care. So it's all about first aligning and having parity
Hmm.
with the same target audience that you're prioritizing in your overall go to market strategy.
So let's say that that they've done the groundwork, right? They've worked with a great company, they work with a team like yours, and now maybe they have the strategy down, or at least they know the direction they wanna take this. And like, what's next?
So, first going to want to get, agreement from your customers to actually,
Hmm.
be in, your videos, or,
Yeah.
your written case studies, or whatever your kind of components of your program are. So
Hmm.
really good question that you asked, and I'm glad you brought it up. It's like, how the biggest thing there is like, how can you make it a two-way exchange of value,
Yeah.
right? So like, for example, you might be able to give value to the customer you're featuring in a video, because
Hmm.
by creating this video with them, you're holding them up as an example of best practices
Hmm.
in their industry, right? And
For
you're
sure.
they look awesome, like and they should be the hero of the story as well.
Hmm.
So it's great PR for them in their industry as an expert. Is also good PR for them, internally in their own
Hmm.
company, particularly at a larger company. And so there's a lot of different ways you can, have that two-way exchange of value. That is one of them. The other thing about, and making that initial ask is
Hmm.
thinking about kind of socializing it earlier
Hmm.
than you need it, right? So like, it could be, you might want to start asking people, the 2 or 3 months before you actually want to create the video testimonial, and you might have even baked that agreement to do certain marketing activities into
Hmm.
the actual sales contract, right? So
Yeah.
basically, that's a really common thing, is like, maybe people are negotiating on price, and okay, we can do this if you agree, pending satisfaction, right? Because you're never going to hold someone's feet to the fire who didn't have a good
Of
experience
course.
to do a testimonial. But like, you can sort of bake it in and say, like, pending satisfaction, you
Hmm.
agree to, in exchange for, these terms, or these payment terms, or
Yeah.
this discount, you agree to do, XYZ marketing activities. Maybe it's,
Hmm.
written review, hop on a webinar, a case study, video testimonial that can also be repurposed into a case study. So
Hmm.
that also makes a huge difference as well, is just like starting that conversation earlier,
Hmm.
and not thinking about like, oh, I need a video testimonial next month, or next week, like who can I ask, and immediately, it certainly works, but like,
Sure.
the earlier you can plan, and the earlier you can kind of start the conversation, just like anything, the better.
Hmm. Man, Sam, as you're saying these things, I'm going on this journey with you right now. I feel like you took me through my whole entrepreneurial career right now. So typically when we've in the past thought of like testimonials or things like that, it's been an afterthought. It hasn't been part of the strategy in the beginning, which I feel is a big mistake. Like what you're saying right now makes so much sense. Number one. Number two, when I didn't even realize what you just said in terms of like, I've seen it before, but I didn't realize it happened to me, but I hadn't done it. So of course it, like, people want to give testimonials and things like that. So if you have a certain type of product or certain type of thing and you want testimonials, and I shouldn't say everybody wants to give a testimonial, right? But if they're happy with the product, if they're happy with whatever the services that you provided, they definitely want to give that value back to that. A lot of people do, I should say. And I've seen it, and I've realized that. I'm like, man, why are we not doing this? So everybody watching this right now, if you're not doing this, Sam is giving you like words of like, these are nuggets, these are gold nuggets. Sam's just dropping all over the place here. um, so let's say, Sam, let take me further down that user journey. So now you have your strategy, you've gotten buy-in from whether it was through contract or whether it was through whatever your strategy laid out to get the right people. And you've been thoughtful on who you're bringing on. You've provided them value as well. And so what's next? Where do we go from there?
So then you want to think about, coming back to the kind of the strategy matrix. It's like,
Mhm.
what problems are you trying to solve, with the, this video testimonial, right? We'll just
Yeah.
use video testimonial because frankly, if you can get a video testimonial, it's going to be the best, because
Yeah.
that video testimonial, that's usually, you can create so much content from that. You can create your written content from that because you can transcribe the video. So,
Mhm.
so say you have your video testimonial, then you want to, kind of reverse engineer the result you want. So
Yeah.
if you align with your strategy and this is common persona that you sell to, what are the questions, fears, or doubts that your salespeople always get in the buyer journey, right? So for example, for you, Adam, like I know you have a couple different businesses, and you could say when you're in your sales process for any of your businesses, you could say, what are the things that kind of make people pause to do this, right? Maybe it's like, how long will the experience take me? Like, am I going to see the ROI? And like, basically you want to just map out exactly what those kind of objections or, questions, fears, and doubts are. And then instead of you having to answer them or, next time, or just instead of people not closing or ghosting you, because let's be honest, a lot of people don't actually ask, they just never, close, and they just disappear. The customer at scale, because it's a video, you create that once, you're able to, scale the customer voice and close deals so much more faster. So to your point, step two, to your question, step two is, figuring out the message and, setting the strategy to achieve that. Then it's actually producing it. So with video testimonials, it's, either, remote or on-site. For us at Testimonial Hero, one of the things that sets us apart is, we are, to my knowledge, the only company in the world who offers both remote video testimonials, which we capture. We have a proprietary process, which we capture through the best camera that everyone has on them, which is their smartphone. It's not their webcam. We use their smartphone because that's like $1,000 incredible engineered camera. So we do that. Or if it's you might want to consider in-person testimonial. And we basically, so I'll tell you a quick story. So like back in my previous company, before Testimonial Hero, we had a testimonial project that there were so many travel fees associated with the project that it cost more than the actual price of the project for the client. Like the travel fees were higher than the project. And that was okay. That part of that was because we were filming in Venice, and we were based in the Boston area, so we were flying over. But point being is like, I really saw, even flying across the US can add up. And I saw how much money that our customers were having to spend in travel fees. And I was like, that's not the future. Like, so with Testimonial Hero, we have a global network of videographers.
Wow.
And that enables us to create the absolute highest quality on-site customer testimonial videos at flat rates, anywhere in the world, right? So like, whether, it's in Sweden or San Diego, all of our videos have the same process, the exact same, quality, exact same style, same brand standards. And we've done also, multi foreign language stuff. So we film in China, we film in Chinese, we film in Korea, et cetera, et cetera. So that was, I think, one of the big innovations, especially early on. That was we've done a lot with remote now, obviously because of COVID, that has become a bigger focus. And that has been a really, that's been an enjoyable thing. But our first innovation was the on-site testimonials. And I should say COVID hasn't been an enjoyable thing at all. The challenge of having to, problem solve and say, okay, we can't do what we now, things have changed, but like for several months and, longer, like we couldn't film in person. So the challenge that we had to solve was like, all right, with these constraints, how do we create the absolute highest quality video testimonials remotely? That was a unique and, challenge and technical, functional, and many different aspects. So and we solved it, and really proud of that. And that was rewarding, but not fun at the time, but it was a little scary at the time, but ultimately rewarding.
Yeah, I feel like well, everybody, this shift, depending on the businesses were affected. Obviously, we know that some for the better, some for not so good. But that shift and that pivot that a lot that have gone through, I think it's expanded many markets. So now I'm just imagining. And by the way, you're the logistics side of what you just described from Sweden to the U.S. to wherever, trying to like coordinate that. I'm sitting here thinking to myself like it's amazing. That's hard. It's hard to do something like that and to keep the same brand standard and all the other things that you mentioned. Like that's a tricky thing. So shifting just a little bit here. So you've told us a lot of, what of the process and what's really going to make that story great. Where do people go wrong? Like, let's just say that, they're not working first off with Testimonial Hero and they're just trying to tell a story. Like, where do you find a lot of people go wrong in this type of process?
Yeah. So I think for one, just not realizing the big macro shift that's happening right now, that, marketing content alone it's no longer enough. Like, and the best companies out there, the winners in today's market and right now and increasingly in the future are, prioritizing customer stories.
Yeah.
Because as a company, we can say how great we are till the cows come home, but that's going to be taken with a grain of salt, right?
Yeah.
To say the least. So, and also, frankly, I think people are a bit more skeptical now. There's a little bit more of like a trust gap in terms of like everyone, and everyone's BS detector is a little bit sharper,
Sure.
For good reason, right? So like, it's just, again, the best companies are have realized that like the old game is really like I can get by, talking about my brand, as a member of my brand. The new game in that the winners are participating is, of course, there's always a place for traditional marketing, but like the new game is very much how can I involve my customers and help them, how can I communicate value directly through my customers.
Totally agree. Totally agree with this. Let's shift focus slightly. So we've obviously talked about Testimonial Hero and the product that you do, but let's go deeper on that side. So tell us more about the company.
Yeah, so I think probably the most notable things about us. Again, we were started with the focus to make on-site customer testimonials effortless, and that was our first innovation, was building this global network. In the beginning, that was really our focus. Then COVID happened, and we innovated on the remote side because we had to. And I'm really proud of our team, for one. Like, we have the most amazing team, and like also culture, right? We're a purely remote company. So we had an office before COVID, but even then, we were, much smaller. We've grown a lot, in the past couple of years. So now we're, upwards of 30, 35 people.
Wow.
And, and most of that is this year in terms of growth. And one of the most rewarding things to me is seeing the culture, seeing that it is possible to have a really, it's not easy, but it is possible to have a awesome culture remotely. And, we just had like a Halloween, it's early November when we're recording this.
Yeah.
We just had a virtual Halloween party. It's so much fun. And like, I honestly didn't know, like, I had never, ran or even, worked at a purely remote company. Right. So like, I was curious, like, is it going to have that same, sort of energy, right? And it's certainly, different than person, and that's also why, we just did an executive team retreat in person, about 3 weeks ago, which was fantastic. So I think you want to, get that in-person time as well, but that has been, I think, personally rewarding to me, is like learn all of the learnings that have come from like growing a remote company and realizing that it's possible has been very, I think, rewarding and fun.
So we know the product a little bit, but maybe go further on what a testimonial video entails. So like working with Testimonial Hero. So give us a little bit more of context.
Yeah. So most of our customers, we've been talking about testimonial videos as like a single thing, but most of our customers are actually capturing multiple pieces of content for every single customer, because that is another big shift right now, is like in terms of like communicating value through the voice of the customer. It's essential to not to actually have the voice of the customer communicating that value throughout the entire buyer journey. So not just like toward the end of the funnel, actually leveraging the voice of the customer, throughout the whole buyer journey, because anytime you can, customers say it better, essentially, for just about anything, right?
For sure.
So that's one thing, is like, about us and our, product line, our service line is, we're not really ever creating just like a 90-second video. I think that is, you asked earlier, like, where do people go wrong? Well, I think, anything helps. So like, I'm happy for anyone who's creating video testimonials, no matter what, but whether for us or with anyone or on their own as well. But I think, it's not where people go wrong, but it's a missed opportunity when people only create one piece of content from, a fantastic 30-minute, interview. So a lot of times we're creating the social media ads, we're creating the social media, 30 to 45 second version, the 6-second YouTube, bumper ad, specific edits based on objection, right? If the salesperson always runs into the same question, why don't we have a customer video that is either one customer or multiple customers in a compilation addressing that question? So when that question comes up in the sales process, great question, Mr. Prospect, here is a video from, so-and-so who is, exactly like you in your same role and org title and industry. Here's exactly what they found. Here, you can listen to that, right? So yeah, I think that is another really, big thing to note as it relates to your question. And also like more like macro is like, the need and like, trends, right? It's really like micro content, snackable content. That is the future. And that's also being dictated by evolution in the behavior of buyers, because 70% of the buyer journey is now basically completed before your prospect actually speaks to your sales rep, right? Or, so it's like, if that is true, and that's, what the studies are saying, and I think we can all intuitively agree too, even if, regardless, it's like, how can we make those customer stories more accessible to, more self-consume, at the leisure of our prospects. And, part of that is just having that, more snackable, formats and implementation and design and how you kind of set up your site or your, content management system plays into that. But like in the first things first, you need to implement your sort of snackable content in a sleek way. You actually need that content to begin with.
Absolutely. And another cool thing, and this is just an offshoot of doing this right. Like everything you're talking about is how you do it right. And what happens is over time for doing these campaigns or whatever it is, like you also build a catalog. So now you have a catalog of testimonials and content that's out there, whether you posted it socially, obviously it's out there. If it's on your website, it's out there. But you have this very valuable catalog that's part of your company's history, part of the IP, part of the brand equity, part of all these intangibles or tangibles, just depending on how you value things. But that becomes part of the story of the actual company itself. So not even just necessarily one product or one campaign. The cumulative effect of a catalog, to me, I mean, it's powerful. Like that whole, even the concept is really powerful.
It absolutely is. And one of the kind of fringe benefits of customer testimonials is actually, how they help in recruiting as well. Because
totally.
people want to work for a company that has happy customers, right?
For sure. No, it's so
it's
true.
exciting to
Like
see that.
recruiting,
So,
like
yeah.
I've had people come on this show and I'm like, wait a minute, you sell to this and this, like it's these huge products or something where it's like, there's no like, why would, and they're like, no, this is going to be for recruiting. We just want to tell our story so that people can, we want to attract top talent. So you're totally on point on that. Go ahead. Sorry, I just had to throw that out there.
Yeah, no, I think it's so true. And then the other thing, so our brand name is Testimonial Hero. We focused historically primarily on customer testimonials. However, I guess breaking news on the show. I don't know if we've announced it live, but next year we will be focusing to a much greater degree on employee testimonials as well. And and that's for recruitment marketing specifically, right?
Yeah.
Which is just I think maybe a more accurate term for like recruiting and then sort of branding and marketing you have to do as it relates to recruiting, because it's the sort of same thing. Like talent acquisition is a sale, it's in its own way, right? And like just like buyers are doing 70% of their research before they talk to your sales rep. Candidates are going to do a lot and probably the majority of their research before they, seriously engage with your kind of talent acquisition, team. And what better way to, give candidates a look into like what it's actually going to be like and why they should, join your team than showcasing your actual customers. So, our plan and our vision and what we're doing there is, taking the best practices of what we've achieved in customer testimonials and basically, doing the same thing for employee testimonials, with the end goal being helping, recruitment marketing and talent acquisition leaders find and attract and hire best fit candidates faster.
Well, that's great, Sam. So a final question here. What type of clients do you find get the most value? And what I mean by that is like, is there a certain size a company has to be, certain revenue, certain industry, or agnostic? I mean, give us a flavor for, because at the end of this, I'm going to give you the opportunity to leave websites. We're going to put websites, whatever you want us to, in the show notes, because I want people to go check out Testimonial Hero, but I want to make sure the right people follow up. Like, who gets the most value typically?
Great question. So, anyone with a fairly high consideration sale. So if your kind of, product or service is like $9.99 a month, you probably are, on average, you might not be worth investing in Testimonial Hero, right? You might want to, just do it yourself. Or, there's, software tools that you can that will help you do it yourself. The customers, most of our customers are 51 employees and up from like a company size. With the exception being smaller teams who have just received probably like a Series A or, a large seed funding round. But the majority of our customers we find are like, 51 employees and up who sell something with a, significant average contract value. So, and often that's B2B software companies. So we actually work with companies in almost every industry now, even some B2C companies that have high consideration, large contract value purchases, but still the bulk of our customer base is B2B software companies.
Awesome. And so, Sam, if somebody's watching this right now and they do want to follow up, what's the best way for them to do that?
Go to our website, testimonialhero.com, or just Google Testimonial Hero and we'll pop up. They can, contact us through our site. They can request pricing information through our site. And I'm on LinkedIn. If you want to get in touch with me, LinkedIn is the best way. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. Just, add me and say, hey, I found you on this podcast, had a question. So yeah, LinkedIn is a great way to get in touch with me directly. And then any info on Testimonial Hero or examples, and our customer stories, right? Like I'd be remiss if I didn't say like, we drink our own champagne. So, I would be remiss if I didn't say, check out our own customer stories, right?
I was going to say, you better have some testimonies up there, Sam, after this interview. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
you betcha.
Well, hey, I just want to say first off, thank you for coming on the show and really sharing your mission and why you do what you do over at Testimonial Hero. As I mentioned to the audience earlier, we'll put all of the website, all the other stuff in the show notes. We want you to click on that link and just head on over and check it out. And also to the audience, especially if you're a first-time listener or visitor, hit that subscribe button. We have many more mission-based entrepreneurs, executives, and experts coming on the line that are coming on here to really share why they do what they do, but also to teach and to give value back to the community. So definitely hit that subscribe button. And Sam, really, it has been a pleasure. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks, Adam. It's been a pleasure to be on here, and hope to do it again sometime.